What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back for career mode, episode number 33 for the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's see if we can finish this season strongly. This is season 2, and we're gearing up for what is going to be a title challenge in season 3. I can just smell it. We've got 3 races remaining, including this one. After this, we have Brazil, and then we finish the season in Abu Dhabi. Unfortunately, last episode, go check it out. It was quite depressing. We had an engine failure in Singapore, which happened right at the end of the race, right as we did all the hard work, and we were just cruising, bringing it home for a really solid result. Lots of points missed out on there, so very, very sad about that. But if you guys want to cheer me up, head to the link in the description. I have a second channel now. I'm actually hoping to get more subs on my second channel than what Alex has on his second channel. Yeah, I haven't uploaded a single video there, so if you guys could help me do that, that would make me very happy, and we'll put Alex in the mud, numbers-wise. Either way, welcome back to another video. As you can see, car development is not going so well at the moment. A few other teams have barely outdeveloped us, Alpine being one of them. Aston Martin have caught up to us. AlphaTauri, I think, have drawn level as well. We've just really run out of upgrades to do at this point of the career mode. We need Spec 3. Spec 3 is what we need to progress further. So, yeah, we need to save up the best part of $10-12 million in-game and then get the facilities on, but we're running out of time. We've only got 3 races left to do so. It shouldn't be too much of a problem with the prize money that we will get from this season, but our growth has kind of been stunted, and we still do have a very slim chance of winning the title, but we need those upgrades. Alright then, let's get into the Grand Prix weekend itself. Getting ready for the Japanese Grand Prix. Fairly low wings, it must be said, 25-18. You'd probably expect them to be a little bit higher, given the first sector is worth a lot of time, but that's time trial for you. But, you know, the setup felt pretty decent over the course of this weekend, allowed me to push on quite a bit. The straight line speed felt very, very nice, it must be said. Anyway, first run in Q1 done, and it's 29.3, puts us P6 provisionally before more people go out and improve their time. Some of these curbs here are very deadly, particularly that curb on the left-hand side exit. If you run over the curb, the car literally bottoms out, and one or two things either happens. One, if you're lucky, you only lose a tiny bit of speed as the wheels aren't connected to the road anymore. Or two, you completely spin out and end up in a barrier. So, yeah, not ideal. Can't abuse the curves as much as you could have in previous games. Backhand loss out of the last corner, up to the line. We improved by 0.4 of a second to go P3. But the likes of Ocon and Stroll are up there as we lose the backhand massively on our next run. And this is all in an attempt to get us into Q2. Qualifying is pretty much over now with 2 minutes remaining. That is, well, 2 minutes to get your lap in before you get disqualified, I assume. P19 at the moment. Up to the line. We improve by nearly 0.7. I think the delta is broken. We go purple to the third sector. But even with the purple sector, it's barely good enough to get us through to the next session. So, there we go. 28.6. 0.3 improvement in basically each run. But we need to find more time, particularly in Sector 1. That's where we seem to be losing out the most time compared to the AI. So, a lot of work to do. Webber's right up there considering the car's performance right now. So, fair play. Let's move on to Q2. And speaking of Q2, it looks like we're going to have some rain interfering. That's not just a little bit of rain in 10 minutes. That is heavy rain arriving in 10 minutes. And we see Max Verstappen is out of the session. And this is why he's literally gone underground. The Red Bull team have been pushing the limits too far with the ground effects. So much so that they are the ground now. And Verstappen is out of this Japanese Grand Prix qualifying. I don't know how he's ended up in there, but the suction of the floor, a little bit too strong from the Red Bull. So back to the drawing board for those guys. And, well, that just makes our Q3 efforts that little bit easier, doesn't it? So 7 minutes remaining. We'll head out there in a second. Fortunately, no weather interfering for the race. We went out there and we actually bossed it. We got in a time just before the rain hit, and it put us provisionally P1. I will say the AI didn't get a clear run in there with the best of the track conditions. So I think the time that they did was a banker time, and then we, yeah, just plonked it on pole position, and here we are. Q3 now, and a bit of karma is head our way, because now...
Okay, the guys have found a leak in one of the coolant lines, so we're patching that up as we speak. Hold tight for now until we've got everything checked over.
Yeah, now we have a cooling system fault when the track is actually a little bit dry. It's soft compound conditions for now, but it's actually raining out there. The track is getting worse. As you can see on the Delta, the gap between the soft and the intermediate is coming down. So the optimal track conditions are right now, or at least they were right at the start of the session. People have already set times, and I'm just chilling here in the garage, unable to do anything. Now the time has elapsed, and I can put some soft compound tires on, but I think the track is too far gone for that. By the time we get out there, it is fully soaked. So I went straight out to intermediates to see if I can make the most of the track at its least damp on the Inter, to see if I could beat a few cars who maybe put in a bad time on softs. But as we come up to the line here, you can see we are a long way off Sergio Perez's 1:32.6. We are 2 seconds off. So that is GG, unfortunately, for qualifying. Maybe had the pace to be up there, mixing it with the top 3 in Q2. But come Q3, when it matters, we are nowhere, and the track is not going to improve over the course of the next 3 minutes. So there's absolutely nothing we can do. I'm comparing the times between the Delta and the Delta between the Inter and the Soft. The Soft is getting slower and slower as this session wears on. So that is GG for this session. Carlos Sainz gets pole position. Lando Norris P2. Robert Schwartzman P3. Max Verstappen, despite going underground and destroying his car, has made a return for Q3 and has out-qualified us. So that's Codemasters for you. P10 to start this Japanese Grand Prix. Let's hope that there's some grid penalties which can thrust us back up towards the front. And maybe, just maybe, we can go for third in this Drivers' Championship.
We come to you today live from the Mai Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen so many title deciders through the years, some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Magnussen, Lance Stroll, Benjamin, Gasly, Russell, Hamilton and Robert Schwartzman. Mick Schumacher, Webber, they've taken a grid penalty. Max Verstappen and Ocon. Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Charles Leclerc and Nicholas Latifi. Oscar Piastri, Joe, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid.
So there's been a crazy amount of grid penalties to start this race. Schwartzman, Webber, Verstappen, Carlos Sainz on your screen there. Fernando Alonso didn't qualify well. Neither did Charles Leclerc. So the grid order is all over the place to start this Grand Prix. We start from P6 in this Japanese Grand Prix. So there's every chance we could get ourselves maybe a cheeky podium or maybe even a win with this inferior car that we have at the back end of Season 2. So we're going to go aggressive here. We're going to go on the soft compound tyres to see if we can get ahead of the medium runners. Lando Norris in the Ferrari versus Sergio Perez is going to be the battle for the win. But if we can plonk our car in between those guys or ahead of those guys after this first stint, then hell, anything's possible in this Grand Prix. I imagine they're going to go probably to hards to see out this race. We're going to go soft medium. in an effort to be aggressive. We will deal with more tyre wear, but I feel like this is the kind of strategy we really need to go for in order to get a race win in this Grand Prix. So let's see what we can do. There's a very interesting battle going on between Alonso and Verstappen in the drivers' standings right now. As I understand it, it's a 2-point gap between the two of them, and they're both outside the top 10. So absolutely anything can happen in this race, and I'm very interested to see how the two of them get on. So let's get into it. Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka, Honda's home race. Red Bull will be highly energized to do well. Both their cars starting outside the top 10 and have a lot of work to do. So here we go. Let's see if we can overtake some midfield runners. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Japanese Grand Prix. Third to last race of this season, and Pierre Gasly gets off to a flyer, blocking George Russell as he tries to go round our outside into turn 1. We get him back. Can we get Gasly? Yes, we can, as that's P6 for us. Once again, Stroll, Magnussen, Albon, the next drivers on our list, and all of them on the harder compound tyres. So we've got to strike while the iron's hot. Oh, no! First lap, and we've spun. We're in the wall. Damage is on, and absolutely everyone behind has got damage in this race. Oscar Piastri is out of the Grand Prix. Guan Yu Zhou is out. Safety car has been deployed, and that is why. No major damage for me. One of the Williams has absolutely been yeeted in this race. That has to be Oscar Piastri, our former teammate. Here's the replay. Everyone was kind of checking up because of me, not wanting to run into me, obviously. Fernando Alonso getting quite significant damage front and rear. Latifi out of the Grand Prix as well. Oh, it's absolute carnage. If red flags are in the F1 games, then this should have been potentially a red flag. Meanwhile, in Lando Norris land, he's absolutely chilling on his medium compound tyres, running long. This probably suits us on the softs. We are going to box at the end of this lap. Thankfully, we actually didn't get hit by anyone. If I would have had a better turning radius, I probably would have been able to go back in a straight line without losing my wing. But yeah, crucially, no floor damage is what I was trying to say. No side pod damage, and crucially, no floor damage. So we're actually able to press on with this race with pretty good speed. The same probably can't be said for some of our championship leaders. I did see Fernando Alonso get rear-ended by one of the Williams. I think it was Piastri. So some of those guys could really be in the mud in this race, and we've caused it all. We spun because of that curb. We only touched it with half a tyre, and it was enough to disrupt the airflow underneath the floor, and we lost our downforce and we spun. It is crazy, this game, how brutal it is, as you've seen from my co-op episodes, and today it's caught us out in career mode. So yeah, not ideal. Need to play this game a bit more and not be so rusty. But away we go for green flag running. We have switched to the medium compound tyre, and I think I'm going to start the final stint on the soft compound tyre. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But the safety car has brought us some flexibility. We can stretch these tyres a long way. Alonso spun, so even the AI are capable of spinning in this race, and that is proof in the pudding. We're right on board with Alonso, who runs through the first sector, and just like us, he touches the curb. He touches the curb, which, yeah, is absolutely devastating in these cars. You can see Alonso's car is a little bit unstable, a little bit oversteery, even before that spin. So maybe there is some floor damage there, I'm not too sure, but either way, don't touch the curbs in Sector 1. Absolutely brutal. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz, we won't talk about that. There's no need for the stewards to have a look at that. We were just taking avoiding action, and we're going to run all the way to the bank with that one. B16 in this Japanese Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz, I'm no doubt sure, will be on the buzzer, over the radio, complaining about that overtake. You know, avoiding action. Lovely stuff. We progress in this race. It actually wasn't a safety car. We're still under green flag running. And we zoom in on the map because Alonso has spun again. No, this is not the same replay. This is actually a different one. He's losing the back end even before the corner now. And Alonso in the mud. This man is vying for the championship this season, and he has spun every lap so far in this race. Carlos Sainz running wide with dirty air. I'm sure at this point that Alonso has to have damage. As we get caught up on that curb, which completely killed our exit speed. Carlos Sainz gets back through, and I think that's fair. That's karma. We are back down to P17 with Ricciardo all over us on the same compound of tyre. Unfortunately, yeah, with that spin with Alonso, we lost a bit of time there to the next group of cars, but hopefully with Sainz punching the hole in the air, he can drag us along in this race. So all is definitely not lost. We have some flexibility. We have good tyres to chuck on this car later on in the Grand Prix. We just have to be patient. I think we've got good speed. We showed that in Q2. So I'm hoping opportunities do present themselves as we got a warning for track limits. That is, I believe, our first of the race, purple to the third sector. The straight line speed is incredible, as you can see here on this start-finish straight, as we fly past the Ferrari without DRS. That is without DRS. That is absolutely crazy in terms of straight line speed difference. Not bad. Not bad at all. Right at the end of the straight, we have the inside. Sainz had to leave us the room, and we squeeze him through for P16 once again. Meanwhile, the other Ferrari is out front and stretching away in this Grand Prix. So to be able to overtake a Ferrari, very confidence-inspiring. It shows that we can pretty much overtake anyone in this race. We just need to, well, get a move on as Leclerc gets muscled out by Ocon. Unfortunately, unable to be close enough to really capitalize on that, but we will work over Charles Leclerc if we can. And with the help of DRS from this lap onwards, or, well, for a few laps onwards, we should be able to get the move done. But, you know, we know that Red Bull is very OP in a straight line. It will be very tricky as we look back at Leclerc's car. Even we are catching the Red Bull quite a ways, heading into 130R as we go around the outside into the Casio Triangle, the final chicane. He's later on the brakes. We have the inside for the next left-hander, and that is P15 in this Japanese Grand Prix. We've now overtaken a Red Bull and a Ferrari. Surely now, as long as they're within range, no one can stop us in this Grand Prix. Let's kick on and see if we can get some big points in this race. We might need to depend on another safety car, because the likes of Norris and Perez, as predicted, are stretching away massively in this race. Meanwhile, in Alonso land, he's having the worst Grand Prix of his career. It has to be said. Lewis Hamilton is into the lane for hard compound tyres. This is anticipated for the AI, soft to hard. And this is only going to help us further, I imagine. This is going to open up the Grand Prix really nicely for us, as they're going to be on terrible tyres, whereas we're going to be on the soft in about 8-9 laps time. So look forward to that as Alonso is spun again on the minimap. Oh, Alonso, he's not having a good day. Meanwhile, yeah, we nearly had a swapper on ourselves as we got on the power a little bit too early, too hard on the exit of the spoon curve. Easily done. That's something I've noticed in F122. I think the biggest issue I'm struggling with is the traction. My throttle position, I am too heavy on that right foot, and I believe I have noticed what I'm doing wrong. I've picked up on a bad habit that I've done, a change in, I suppose, driving technique with my rig, and it will take a little time to change certain rhythms, certain habits. But hopefully, now that I've actually identified it, I should be a little bit better. Anyway, safety car has been deployed. Sergio Perez from P2, easy P2 on the grid, has been scattered. The whole front of the field has been absolutely cream-crackered by Fernando Alonso, who has spun in front of everyone. That has to be what has happened. There are two McLarens in that mix, and the second of which is the one that causes all the drama. Fernando Alonso spinning in front of the race leaders, Sergio Perez running into the back of Lando Norris, and then it's just a domino effect. Nobody's slowing down, nobody's seen yellow flags. Thankfully, my teammate Mark Webber has got through there cleanly, because that could have been a disaster. Here's the onboard from Sergio. He just gets a bit greedy. He tries to lose as minimal time as possible and didn't clear the Ferrari in time. And then, yeah, you saw the rest. So, That's a real shame. That is the second major crash in this Japanese Grand Prix. And, yeah, Fernando Alonso causing absolute carnage in this race. Let's have a look at his floor. You can see in that bottom right-hand corner of the floor, right there, you can see there's massive chunks taken out of it. So that's causing him all sorts of stability issues. And I think for the basis of safety, McLaren should just withdraw that car from the race. There's no point carrying on. He's over a lap down now. And in this game, you can't get your lap back. So, Fernando, just give up, mate. I know you're in the fight for the championship, but I don't know what his plan is. Is he trying to just keep spinning in the hopes of taking out Max Verstappen in this race? Speaking of whom, I don't even know where he is in this race. He was outside the top 10 last time I checked, but this carnage might actually help him in the end. But yeah, into the pit lane we go for the final 14 laps of this race. This is going to be a switch to the hard compound tyre. Softs would be a real stretch. So we'll take the paint and basically just switch on to whatever the AI are doing. Schwartzman is in as well for tyre change. We slot in between the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo quite nicely. And away we go. So this is the race now for the rest of this Grand Prix. Get overtaken by Tsunoda into turn 1. That is a real shame. But yeah, we'll look to get in front of these guys if we can. We've showcased. I feel like we have good pace. I feel like we got better pace than what we've displayed so far this weekend. And you know, with all the carnage, all the damage that potentially some of these race leaders are carrying, they might be beatable in this race. You never know. Safety car is in at the end of this lap. Heading into the Casio Triangle now. Let's hopefully get a good restart here. Tsunoda on the hard compound tyres as well. Now, imperative that we get the tyres up to temperature. And look at the advantage the AI pull in that traction zone. It's absolutely nuts. So 11 laps remaining in this race. And, well, anything can happen in this one with Fernando still in this race. He is at the back of the queue, as you can see, on the mini-map. And I wouldn't be surprised to see another spin in about 3 seconds' time. Let's wait for it. It's counted in. And there it is. Lovely stuff. This man is challenging for the championship. I feel like I should really reiterate there's a 2-point gap between Alonso and Verstappen right now. It's a very tense battle for the championship, and Alonso is out here making himself out to be an absolute clown. I don't think he'll ever... Surely, dignity has to kick in at some point and just go, no, I'm not subjecting myself to any more of this. Up the inside we go on Tsunoda. That straight line speed was absolutely ridiculous compared to the AlphaTauri. We're running with, you know, low-ish wings, but I've got to say the straight line speed of our car today is absolutely nuts. It's really not balanced. The way in which we are achieving our lap time, we're losing so much time in sectors 1. Yeah, just sector 1. But then we gain so much in sector 3 and then the start of sector 1, the start finish straight. It's unbelievable. I wish we chucked on a little bit more downforce to be closer heading onto these straights, but who needs downforce when you can overtake like this up the inside of Leclerc into turn 1 as we squeeze him out? Oh, actually, we don't squeeze him out. He had plenty of space. He just ran wide at that corner. This is Schwartzman on the attack with, is that Tsunoda? No, I think that's Pierre Gasly for P4 right in front of us. Mark Webber on the podium right now. Let's see if we can get a better exit compared to these guys. These guys are going to be easy pickings without straight line speed up into overtake. It's a DRS train, but look at how easily we break that into turn 1. What is going on? What is actually going on? Pierre Gasly slows down out of nowhere, and that completely distracted me. I ran wide a little bit and actually let him go back through again. So nice distraction technique there from Pierre Gasly. If he kept his foot in it and actually tried into turn 1, he probably wouldn't be in front of me right now, such is the weirdness of that exchange. But we've got 7 laps to go. We're trying to chase down the race leaders of Lando Norris. George Russell? Who was in the other Mercedes? No, George Russell's at Haas. Why do I keep forgetting this? The Mercedes in P2 is having the quietest race in existence, I swear. But we're lining up Pierre Gasly here. We're going to get DRS. He's going to be isolated because he's not close enough to my teammate Mark Webber to get a tow or a slipstream. Here we go. Look at the advantage that we create with this car. And we haven't even done ultimate upgrades on this thing yet. That is absolutely nuts. It's Hamilton in P2. However, 5 seconds up the road and is building a nice margin. Fernando Alonso has spun again on the minimap. Lando Norris is setting purple sectors. I think before we get to the end of this race, we might have to encounter this man once again. This is lap 24, the next lap, and round he goes. Like absolute clockwork. You've got to appreciate the consistency of those spins from Alonso every lap. He's not correcting his slides. It's the last lap of the Grand Prix, and shock, he's spun in front of the race leaders and is holding them up. Can we win this race? No, it's Lando Norris who's got through, so is Hamilton as well. He slows up my teammate though to cause a very awkward exchange on this last lap.
Okay, clear.
Do we go for the move on our teammate who has been unfairly held up by the back marker of Fernando Alonso on this last lap? It's a dilemma I did have to fight internally for a few moments, but I think, I don't know, on the basis of things, Webber has deserved this podium. He's qualified better, his pace has been very consistent, and if anything, I think he was actually a little bit faster than us in this race. I just got a bit lucky with safety cars, and of course that little moment just a few seconds ago, which has brought me within range of attacking my teammate. But I don't know, we'll have a little go. We've got 15% battery left. We'll use all the overtake on the run into the Casio triangle and see if we can get close, but I think morally it wouldn't be a fair victory, but you know, it wouldn't be the first time Webber loses a position to a teammate when there's a multi-situation going on. Lando Norris wins the Japanese Grand Prix, and we get solid points here at Marduk Motorsport.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
No multi-21 drama, just vibes. That's what we're all about here in Season 2. Let's move to the next Grand Prix with great points.
Another action-packed Japanese Grand Prix comes to an end then, and a magnificent drive to take the win today. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, you know what they say, to finish first you have to finish. And that fact was clear today, with lots of retirements having a big effect on the outcome of the race. As a driver, you tend to keep reliability concerns to the back of your mind and just focus on what's in front of you. But for the teams, races like this can be very stressful.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
Very measured drive there from Lando Norris. He is really suiting that Ferrari. Could be, you know, a dark horse for next season. He's out of the title fight, unfortunately, this season, but, you know, with that kind of form, anything's possible in the seasons to come. But, yeah, we have Lewis Hamilton, P2, my teammate Mark Webber. We've touched upon his great performance today. Couldn't really touch him. Got very lucky to even get close enough to be in the same range as my teammate, so I'll absolutely take that. Says the pace was better with a 29.9, so I guess I'll take that. Pierre Gasly, Leclerc, Schwarzman, Tsunoda, Ricciardo in the Alfa Romeo, shout out to him, and Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, rounding out the top 10. Max Verstappen, crucially, our championship leader, no points today, P13, so the battle continues for this Drivers' Championship heading into the final two events of this season, Brazil and Abu Dhabi. I tell you what, Fernando Alonso has got off the hook there with 50 million spins. He has still not lost any points to his championship rival. That is incredible. 2 points of difference heading into the final two races. Guys, in the comments, let me know who you think is going to win, Alonso or Verstappen. We saw a very different Fernando Alonso today. And Alonso perhaps from his McLaren Honda days where he just didn't care. but he's got to bounce back strong in the next 2 races. Got very lucky. P5 for us in the Constructors. Drivers and Constructors Championship-wise, I think we're pretty well cemented in the positions we're in at the moment. Well, P3 is still up for contention for us, but we'll look to consolidate that if we can with some more consistent finishes. But guys, that has been this episode for today. The Japanese Grand Prix. Turns out we had an engine fault caused by our chassis. We should consider investing more there to prevent these from happening in the future. It says that's an engine issue, but given how OP we were on the straights, I wonder if we actually got extra engine performance in that race because of some kind of fault. Maybe there was a de-restriction with the fuel flow. Oh my god, don't let the FIA know. Or an engine mix. Something was giving us more straight line speed there, which is a rarity. Keep your lips sealed on that one. We don't want the FIA to find out, but we got very lucky there to come away with as many points as we did, especially after the first lap spin. We very much caused that first lap pile-up, which pretty much ruined Fernando Alonso's race and many other people. So, yeah, minuscule mistake, touching the curb on the first lap, and it has quite dramatic consequences. Who knows? Maybe even Verstappen was damaged in that race. I didn't really keep an eye on him. He very much went under the radar in that one. But there we go, guys. That has been today's Japanese Grand Prix. That is the mistake. Just a tiny little touch of the curb, and it was GG. I probably could have kept it off the barrier there, and that would have saved me a pit stop. But regardless, the race turned out for the best, I suppose. I probably wouldn't have got P4 without that spin, let's be honest. Either way, I'm waffling. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. 2 more races remain in Season 2, and we will find out the victor between Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso. Until the next video, guys, I'll see you next time.